Hey guys, welcome back. So it's Wednesday, and what do we do on Wednesdays? We wear pink. So yes, this is obviously another Mean Girls video. This one is going to be on the Hot Topic version of the Mean Girls palette. This is the Fetch eyeshadow palette. So I'm gonna be real honest, when they dropped this on October 3rd, I was excited until I actually looked at the pictures of the palette, and then I was just kind of like, I don't think I'm gonna order it because I do already have the Burn Book, which is from Storybook Cosmetics, and it looks like this. So I really love this palette because not only are the shadows really great quality, but it's got just a great kind of variety of colors. So the Hot Topic palette on the inside looks like this. And in my opinion, it was just a little muted, a little bit kind of boring, I don't know. But the more I thought about it, the more I figured, you know, not everybody wants to drop $55 plus shipping on a palette, even though I totally recommend that you do if you can afford it. And these Hot Topic palettes are really fun and incredibly affordable. So I figured, I know I have a lot of people that watch my channel that love these Hot Topic palettes because they are fun and affordable. So I figured I'd go ahead and pick it up, see what I could do with it, show you guys, and just have another Mean Girls themed palette. So let me show you some close-ups of the palette. So you have this gorgeous glitter on the front, super pretty. It's not the best quality. I mean, it's Hot Topic palette, so it's just like a sticker on top of it. So that's kind of obnoxious. It's already coming off a little bit, but I don't expect too much with these. It just says Fetch eyeshadow palette. On the back, you've got your ingredients. It is cruelty free. And then, so this is a close-up. And of course you have the traditionally fun names. That's so Fetch, I'm a cool mom, Get In Loser, things like that. But my favorite part is the mirror. So you've got a little kiss up here, and then over here in the corner, you've got Damien with his little hoodie from the part where he's like, she doesn't even go here, and it even has that written on there. Super cute. So I do like the fact that the inside is really cute. The outside is very shiny and very pretty, but it's just, you know, quality-wise, it's not probably going to last. So that's one kind of negative aspect, but the inside is super cute. And it retails for $16.90, but currently online it's on sale for $13.52. So let's go ahead and just get into swatches, and then I will see what kind of look I can come up with. Honestly, I really don't know what direction I want to go in because I feel like a lot of these are going to blend together very easily. I'm gonna be honest, I think this is going to be the kind of palette where you wanna try to stick to maybe a minimal type of shadow combinations, maybe like 2 or 3 shadows, and be like simple and pretty. Because if you use it that way, I think you could probably get a good like everyday type of look out of it. So maybe I'll try to squeeze 2 kind of quick and easy looks out of this. So let's get into it. All right, here we go. So as usual, I've done pretty much 2 to 3 layers on these just to make sure the color stands out and you can see the actual shade. So we start with That's So Fetch, I'm a Cool Mom, Cheese Fries, I'm a Mouse, duh, Queen Bee, You Go Glen Coco, Get In Loser, Rainbows and Smiles, Caltine, It's Wednesday, The Limit Does Not Exist, and What Day Is It? So they're pretty colors, and now that they're on my arm, I'm able to see a little bit more color variation, which is nice because quite honestly, just looking at it in the palette, it makes me wonder what direction I'm gonna go in, and it kind of seems like they're all just very muted tones. At least on my arm, I can see a little bit of differences. You got kind of some purple groupings, some kind of more rosy, kind of reddish pink kind of groupings. I don't know how these are gonna work with a brush, but at least with a finger, I was able to smooth them out. So I will play around with them. And like I said, I think I might just try to do 2 simple style looks out of these. Maybe I'll do something with this grouping and something with this grouping over here. So we'll see, I'll play around with it and be right back to show you. All right, for look number 1, I'm starting out with Rainbows and Smiles on a fluffy brush, and I'm just running this all through the crease, really layering it up and kind of bringing it a little bit up onto the brow bone, and then I'm also putting it on the outer corner of the eye. I really, really loved this color. Next up is It's Wednesday, and I'm gonna just run this through the crease as well, kind of toning down the Rainbows and Smiles shade a bit. I kind of wish I didn't do this step, honestly. I think you should use one or the other. Then into Caltine, I'm using a bit more of a dense brush to kind of pack this onto the outer portion of the eye and just try to layer it up as much as possible because it wasn't really giving me the depth that I wanted. Next into The Limit Does Not Exist, I was just using this to add a little bit of dimension to the lash line. Honestly, my wing ended up covering it up, so this would be good if you're not going to do a wing, but otherwise I would skip it. Then into cheese fries. First I'm using it on my finger and just placing it all over the lid up to about halfway where the Caltine color is. And then I decided to go back in with a wet brush to really amp up the color as much as possible. I'm also putting this on the inner corner as well as the inner half of the lower lash line. Then just back into Caltine with the blending brush just to kind of make sure that it's blended nicely into the cheese fries shade. Then I'm also adding that color to the lower lash line just using a flat angled brush, and I'm just meeting it up to the gold shade. And then with the pencil brush, I'm going into Rainbows and Smiles and just adding this all underneath those shades on the lower lash line. To finish the eyes, I'm adding a nude liner into the waterline, a kind of simple black wing, and then of course mascara on top and bottom. For lashes, I'm using kind of a simple, more natural pair just to kind of go with the look. And then for lips, I'm using the Fenty Gloss Bomb in Fenty Glow. And that's the finished first look. On to the second look. For this look, I'm starting out with That's So Fetch, again on the same kind of blending brush and just running this all through the crease. I'm really layering this shade up because I really want it to be that nice pretty purple color, and then I'm also adding it to the outer corner of the eye. Then into I'm a Mouse, duh, and I'm just adding this to the outer portion of the eye. Honestly, it kind of didn't make much of a difference here, so I decided to combine The Limit Does Not Exist with Get In Loser and just pack this onto the outer portion and blend it in. Then with my finger, I'm going into Queen Bee and just adding this to the center of the lid and kind of blending it out into those gray tones on the outer half of the eye. Then I'm using I'm a Cool Mom on the inner portion of the eye and just kind of blending it into the Queen Bee shade. Just like before, I'm going back into those same two shades with a wet brush just to really intensify the colors as much as possible. So I'm just going back and forth between the pink and gray and blending them together. And I'm also bringing the gray a little bit more onto the outer portion of the eye. I also decided to put I'm a Cool Mom on the inner corner of the eye as a highlight. Then back into Queen Bee on a wet, flat angled brush, and I'm lining the lower half of the lash line almost all the way. I'm leaving a little bit kind of the same as up top, and I'm filling in the inner portion with I'm a Cool Mom, so it really just mirrors the top portion. Then I'm running That's So Fetch underneath those shades with a pencil brush. Then for some fun color, I decided to add this kind of pinky, shimmery glitter liner I picked up from Hot Topic. It's a Black Heart Cosmetics liner, and I'm just adding this line about halfway across the crease. Then to finish off this look, I'm doing a kind of thicker black wing, black in the waterline, mascara on top and bottom again, and then for the lashes, I'm doing a pair that's a bit more dramatic on the outer corner. For lips, I'm using another Fenty gloss, but this one is the Diamond Milk shade, and this is the finished second look. Alright guys, so that's two fairly simple looks with this Mean Girls palette from Hot Topic. Just as I suspected from the swatches, these shadows definitely aren't the kind that you want to just throw a ton on your lid and expect a good outcome. Like I mentioned in the beginning, this is the kind of palette that you just want to use maybe 2 or 3 shadows for. Something really simple. I even kind of went a little bit overboard, especially in my first look, just because I was curious, and I definitely noticed kind of that issue where when you start blending them, sometimes they blend the other color away, or sometimes they start looking identical, even though when you swatch them side by side, they look like 2 different colors. So prime example would be when I used Rainbows and Smiles with It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday did kind of tone it down, but it also almost just started making them look identical. And when I added in Caltine, you really couldn't tell much of a difference in the depth. Same thing here, using That's So Fetch, it did end up a lot more sheer than I was expecting when I used it with a brush. I kind of like the way it looks in the crease though. It didn't turn too gray. It kind of stayed a little bit pretty purple, but I think if you wanted to get this kind of shade, you're really gonna have to pack it on or even use your finger. But then when I used I'm a Mouse, duh, which looks clearly like a purple gray, it almost looked like it was the exact same color sheared out. So just be aware of that. I like both looks that I came up with. I think I like the first look the best as far as like my personal, like I think that's a really pretty everyday type of look. I really do like the tones of those pinks, especially this shade right here when it's blended out into the crease. I think it's really pretty. So for me personally, I would just use this and then cheese fries on the lid and call it a day, you know, maybe do something like calathine on the lower lash line. Same thing with this one. I do think that the two shimmers worked nicely side by side using your finger. None of these shimmers really stood out as a really bright, you know, metallic shimmer like some of their shadows usually do, especially when you wet them. That's kind of why I gave them a chance with the finger and then with the wet brush. And it's still, I mean, the wet brush did brighten them up, but not to the extent that a lot of the other Hot Topic shadows end up being. But I mean, it's still a pretty look, you know, and then I decided to kind of give it a little pop of something extra with this little Blackheart Beauty metallic liner, which I actually kind of like if you're curious about these. I'll put those in the description box below. I think they were on sale, so, you know, always a good deal. But it had like a thicker wand than I was expecting. It wasn't like a thin brush, so I ended up with a much thicker line than I was anticipating, but I just kind of had to roll with it once it was there. But I do like the kind of brightness that it brings to the look, because the look does need a little bit of brightness and you're not really getting that here. I mean, the brightest shadow you're getting is a matte white. I still think it's a good palette, like if you're a beginner or if you are just a really big Mean Girls fan, but you really can't afford or don't want to spend $55 on something like the Burn Book palette, then this would be a fun little addition to your collection. You know, you can get some really pretty looks, but I do think keeping it simple is the best way to go with these shadows and be happy with them. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the review and both looks. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to subscribe before you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.